Insulation night. We have a mountain of insulation. This is all for the second floor and ceiling. So we have wall insulation, vaulted ceiling insulation, and then the big pile in the back there, the attic stuff, that is all blow-in insulation. So we spent, I don't know, 3.5 hours or so. Started here, and we just started cutting and slicing and putting it all in. Pretty much just learned everything, all the how-tos from YouTube. How how to cut out around the plug boxes and how to split the pieces apart to get it around the electrical. Oh, lovely assistant with the freight train lights blind us a bit. So we still have to come back, and we got to put in some blocking here for where the closet stuff is going to go, but we will get that done, get it in. And our goal this weekend is we want to get as much as we can up here, at least vapor barriered, and then it's ready to go for drywall. Day 2 of insulation. We're cutting and stuffing, and we didn't do the acoustic sealant on there yet. We got to come back and do that. I just didn't want to have to open a tube just to do those and then try and come back and use it later. Trying to kind of do everything all at the same time. But yeah, some of these have been challenging where we're going in behind the boards. So like say this one, you've got, this is all the same as this. So we did a sliver, stuffed it in, then did a 5.5 piece that was narrower to go behind, then a third piece that goes in here. So we're getting it, but kind of learning as we go. But we have to, that's what we did the other night. We'd like to get as much done as we can, then move on to the vapor barrier, and then we can move all this stuff, over there, and then finish the walls behind here. 'Tis the plan. Such a nice day out though. Look at that. It's supposed to be like 14 degrees, and it is, what's the date today, Tegan? 30th today? October 30th. Making progress. So, today, or tonight, and a bunch of other nights, we are working some rigid insulation that's going to go up in the headers of all the windows and doors. So, what it is we have 2 layers of this going in. It's one layer that's 1 inch thick, like that, and one layer that is 1.5 inches. So to put those together, one on top of each other, that thickness is the thickness of the void between your header and flush with your wall. So it just adds an insulation there. So now we're gonna have R7.5, R5, and then another R5 on the outside where the insulation on the exterior is. So that'll give us a fair amount. Much better than the traditional way is oftentimes people don't put anything in here. They just sheet over it, then you have a cold spot, especially because you don't have any insulation on the outside. So we have, double the insulation value because we have outside and inside. So I'm gonna throw up the time lapse and you can see how that goes. Basically all it is you're just using a razor blade and you cut it more or less to size, and then you just keep test fitting and slicing and slicing and slicing and slicing. And then my goal is I'm trying to get it to be, a tight fit where you just like push it in and then it sticks, like it's not going to fall out or anything like that in the wind. So it's a nice tight seal in there. this one here didn't go in the prettiest. It's feeling under pressure in front of the camera, but yeah, see there's a little bit of a gap there, and the only thing that I'm not sure on is some spots we have a bit of a lip here. The foam is sticking out like, whatever this is, 3/16, maybe up to a 1/4 inch more. So I don't know if you can just do drywall and it'll suck it in, or we need to try and take one of these out and then laser cut it down. I don't know. Or do you just ditch one? Or I don't know. I'll have to ask someone who does know. But that's the gist of it. I just rewatched the time-lapse, and it makes this look like such a quick, easy job. It is not. It is just tedious. Measure, cut and cut and cut. So what I was doing was I was just cutting all these strips into 9 1/4 inch pieces, which is the height, and then that way I can just cut the length of it. Okay, we got all of the headers insulated. Tegan tried to get some video of me up on the ladder, you know, death-defying act, trying to no-handedly cut out chunks of it to get it to fit, but she missed it, didn't hit record. Great videographer. She's cute though, that's good. And then we worked on our main floor. We started insulating. Basically, we're just running out of stuff to do, so we started down here. There's some spots that we're going to end up pulling out, like in there, where we got to put some blocking. So we'll just, at least it's cut though, right? We can just peel it out, put in our boards, and then slap it back in there, notch it out. But yeah, we had no luck with our spray foam though. Let's take a look at that. So our spray foam has been a disaster. We bought 4 different cans of, this isn't the right stuff, but it was great stuff. This is bigger. This is not what we use. We use the proper window and door stuff. We tried last night, and it would only expand a little bit, and then it was kind of not coming out of the gun right. So I asked some buddies, and they said, well, probably too cold. So we came back today, and they said, bring a heater. So we brought a heater. They said, put everything right in front of it, cook it, get it super, super hot. Okay, did that, sprayed some more, and it's not expanding. It's not expanding. It's not giving us a nice clean edge. I'll show you the other window here. Like it's not right. Like something's not right. This looks kind of okay. Sort of hard to see. This is probably one of the better lines that we did, but like up top there, like you can just see it's just globbing and bubbles, and like look, see, it's not expanding to fill these cracks. And when I sprayed this, I just did a nice even line, but it's not right. So we used 4 different cans on these all these windows, and nothing worked. So now we don't know if it's just too cold. It does say on the can that you want to be between 15 degrees Celsius and 30, I think it is. And of course we're about 5 degrees because we're so far behind on our schedule for getting this kind of stuff done. So we don't know if we have to try and get all the insulation in the building, try and warm it up a bit inside here, which we can't really do because you're just going to lose all your heat, or you need huge heaters. Or we need a different brand of spray foam, or we had a bad batch, or we don't know. So we really don't know. Maybe one of you guys will know. I'm going to try and do the world a favor here. So looking on YouTube, trying to find how to do vapor barrier after you have all your insulation in. Where do you put the acoustical sealant? Where do you tape? And you know, kind of the process of doing it. So on YouTube, there doesn't seem to be a good video that just shows that. So maybe this will be it. So the first thing is you have to go to all your boxes here, and you're going to put acoustical sealant around the plugs to then seal between the wire and the rest of the house. Then the acoustical sealant, you need to do the top plate, so you're along the top of it. You need to do the bottom plate either right here along the board or right in the crack. We're gonna go kind of right against the crack, so we're sealing it right into the floor itself. You're gonna do anywhere you have an overlap, so you can either just tape these, overlap it and tape it, or what we'll do is we're gonna end up running acoustical sealant on the back of this one against the outside stud, press it in, staple it, then we'll run our other one across, and then same thing, we'll do another layer of acoustical and then staple it. The boxes, those we are going to tape, so we'll cut out the poly around it, pull this back through, so this is on the outside of the poly, and then we'll tape that on. And then around windows and doors, you need to run a bead across your board all the way around, the one that's closest to your window. And then anywhere you have where you have boards like this, you can run just in the crack top to bottom through here. So this one would run all the way to the top. And doorways would be the same thing. And then yeah, whenever you're going to have an overlap, so in this case we're going from an interior wall here where they already have poly to over there where they already have poly. But say you lined up, you know, you ran out or something right in the middle, if your poly was coming from this direction, you would want to run past another stud to this one, you know, maybe a tail end on it. But then your poly coming from this direction, you would overlap it one stud width to past here. So you'd bring this one to here, acoustical it, staple it, run the other one across, and then now you're going to acoustical on top of the other poly that's there, staple it, and then you can just tape that tail end on either side and seal it all up. But yeah, we'll throw up the camera, show a bit of how we're doing it. But generally speaking, that little tidbit of knowledge that I've gained talking to buddies of mine that are, you know, home builders and contractors and a million YouTube videos and stuff like that, little tidbits like that are just sprinkled everywhere. It's either they show you just the stud wall, not windows and doors, just the electrical plugs, not anything else, just top and bottom, just the overlap. Everything is kind of pieced together. And then the difference between taping it and doing the acoustical sealant, my understanding is you can tape every joint between poly to poly if you want, but doing the acoustical sealant is better. So that's why we're going to do it that way. But enough talking, we'll get to work now. Okay, so we're in our corner here. So we got ahead of ourselves, of course, so we just pull out a couple staples. We'll tape those up later. But yeah, we're just gonna run down our two boards here with a line of the sealant. And you don't need a massive amount of it. So I just notched my my tube. So in that way I'm getting a nice amount of bead on there. Kind of presets the thickness of your bead if you cut it right. There's my rig. Yeah, this stuff is nasty. It's just like stringy tar horribleness. And we're gonna do around our window here. And with the magic of television, we are done. At least this room. We also pretty much done that one there. Taking just finishing taping some stuff up. So all these little dots of tape, those are all places where we either mishit with the stapler or it got ripped, kind of torn stuff like that. So here's those boxes like I was saying. So we taped across this, so this is over top of this. So it makes it easier to tape. You can press against it a little easier. Seal it up really nice. So what we did across the bottom was we actually did 2 lines of acoustical, one to kind of just seal the bottom plate to the floor, and then we did one to actually seal to the bottom plate with the poly. The first tube that we opened, I cut the tip way too big, so we were just globbing this stuff on, and it got messy. But we got it. I just got to trim the bottom off. We did in the closet here. So in the closet, they had, when they were framing, they put in pieces of poly against the outside wall. So that way we could bridge it across. So we're bridged here and we're bridged there to continue on. And then in the other room here, this one is where disaster kind of struck for us. So what we were trying to do is we were gonna just staple it up until we got to the window. Then we figured we would do the whole window, then continue on. And what we did was we got up to there. We did our whole line to get it how we wanted it for the joint, because it's kind of a tight fit to get it right against that stud. Then we did the top. Well, what happened was when we did the straight up and down, the vertical line first, that's where we've cut with the knife off the roll. Well, our cut was of course not straight, so we were fighting that. Once we got that in, it moved the whole sheet and rotated it. So the whole thing was just fighting us the whole way. So we finally just said, forget it, and we just tore it down, which then of course this stuff was just stringing around. You can kind of see it above the window there. It was making in some spots, you know, almost a foot of that stuff stringing away off the wall as we were doing it. We got it on the window now. In some spots we got to try and get that off, so that sucks. But all in all, it was probably easier and faster to just rip it off and start over again. You live and you learn. Ladies and gentlemen, we have snow. It is absolutely dumping out there. It's only been snowing for maybe, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. It is, what is it today? November 6th? November 6th, we have snow. I mean, some years we get snow way sooner than this, but I mean, it's pretty and all, but damn, this is gonna make things harder for outside. Oh, yeah. I think it's officially winter up here in the Great White North, eh? All right, we have all of upstairs now insulated. Woo! So I hammered this out tonight. I took all the pile of insulation, moved it into the far bedroom or office, whichever you want to call it. Made room. Got this stuff cut and put in. I was gonna show a little tip here. I never saw this anywhere online, but it seems to work pretty good. So when you're putting in your insulation, if you just put it in lightly, it seems, especially if you're doing the bottom one here first, you just push it in lightly, not to compress it or whatever. When you look down your corners on the inside, it's hollow. It doesn't actually push the edge all the way in, so it kind of is more dense at the surface, and there's a hollow spot along the outside. So what I was doing was, if you push in your edge, right, so let's say you ram it all in like that, so then now you're pushed in a bit more, right? Well, that's no good either, but at least you have it to the back. So I found if you press in and then to the center just a little bit, kind of using the friction of your glove, my glove is really mangled, so it actually helps. You just go in and you're just kind of fluffing it, kind of in and over, and you just kind of tap, 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 and you see how it just fluffs it all right back out. Same thing on this side. You just kind of fluff, 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 and that'll pull most of that back out, right? You just kind of go in the opposite direction to the center, and see in some spots it'll actually fluff it right past it, and then you can sort of push it back in. But I don't know, that was a huge help once I figured that out, because I was having such a hard time getting it packed in but not packed in, right? Like, you want it to be just perfectly filling that cavity and still fluffed. So if you're too tight, no good. If you have air pockets, no good. If you have, like right there, just want to close that up a bit, any of those little holes and stuff. But yeah, and then this is the vapor barrier. So we got this all done the other day we were showing you. So I mean, not an expert, but seems okay. And then in here, of course, now I got all this stuff in here and it's dark, but we did get the ceiling up. Ceiling wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, other than we got a crinkle over here. And I don't know if that's because this room is just built kind of out of square, because we squared our, you know, factory cut edge to the ceiling, but it didn't work out anyway. So I don't know. We'll see what happens on the next one. Like I said, not an expert. First one I've ever done in my life. Nothing but YouTube videos. And I mean, I'm watching YouTube and figuring stuff out, and then you guys might be watching me and probably know more than me. And my worst fear is that I'm going to do something really bad and really wrong, and then I'll post it like a month after I've already done it, because usually I take about a month of footage or progress and then put it into a video, and then people are going to tell me I did something horribly wrong and it's going to be way too late. But anytime I really don't know what I'm doing, I do have some friends and family and neighbors and stuff like that that are in the know, so to speak, and they can really answer a lot of questions for me. But yeah, no, it's just gotta try, give it a shot. And I definitely have found out insulation, really not that bad. Putting it in the walls, not bad. Doing the styrofoam in the headers, not bad. Tedious, yes. Time consuming, yes. Bad, no. Doing vapor barrier and the acoustical sealant, that is bad. That is like, I have never done anything like that. That has just had me so mad the whole time. I was just, because I'm a perfectionist and you can't get it perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Hard to get past that, but I like things perfect. And that's, doing vapor barrier is really, really tough to get it perfect. But maybe by the last piece I do, I'll get it down to be perfect, but we'll see. Ta-da! More vapor barrier. So we got the play area walls done up until where we need to get spray foam in. We did the one bedroom ceiling now, and the closet ceiling. We got that closet done. So this is what I've found seems to be the best way to do it. So we started with the factory edge across the top, right? And then you're draping down 8 feet. So then you make it a nice, perfect straight edge. And for this case, I'm going from, this is the flap behind the stud. I'm going to seal it over top of it, staple right through it, and that way it's all nice and sealed. To get to that though, to get it how it's all nice and square, so you're squaring it using your top plate, but then I just pulled it back, put in like 3 or 4 staples there just to hold it out of the way now. So then inside, you have all the room to work, got everything all shot up with everything. And then now, with the help of my lovely assistant, we're just gonna pull the ends, and then I'll rip the staples from up there, and then we'll just let it drape down nice right over top. Then you just squish it on, and then you just flip the bottom up, shoot the bottom, flip the top down, shoot the top, and you're done. Easy peasy that way. We're slowly learning. It's getting a little less painful, but still definitely not my favorite job by far. It's not fun. One of the last nice nights that we're probably gonna have. It is November 1st. So this is where we're at. They're setting up temporary platforms that they can set up their scaffolding, kind of like that. We are, so they got the windows to put in here still. Now they got this, well, this is not done yet, but we'll get that. They got soffit fascia done on that part of the wall now. Yeah, they're using up just whatever materials that we have lying around. But the thing that kind of sucks there is a lot of the materials, like the 2x10s and 2x6s we need inside for blocking. And then it looks like they're using our 2x4s, which are for the sewer tank enclosure. Yeah, pretty much what I'm learning from building this is, if you are the customer and you are supplying materials, in our case, we're supplying all the materials just because we have, we can get it at a lower price than the contractor could, just because Tegan happens to work at the lumber yard, which saves us a bit more, a couple percent, but might as well. However, it seems like if you supply materials compared to the contractor, be prepared for way more material wastage, like from what we've seen, because you know they're not paying for it, so to speak, so there's lots of extra stuff. So I don't know at this point what we saved in price difference. I'm gonna assume we've probably, you know, just with buying extra material and whatnot, probably has countered itself, so it hasn't really made sense to do the way that we have. Yeah, this is just kind of what we have left that's useful, but even a lot of like the sheets of plywood and stuff that are left over and more or less usable, they I think are using those for doing the temporary stuff. But yeah, so this is the side that they have the tin done on. So yeah, so one thing we had with our tin, so we had above our door there and kind of around our windows and whatnot, so just some spots that we need to hide there. So what they're going to do is they're going to run the same J channel that they did around the bottom part of the window. They're going to put that over top of that drip flashing just to hide that, so it looks nice and pretty. And then the other thing with our tin, so we're getting kind of a sawtooth look here. So the sheet comes across, and then you can see we have right there, it drops down and then keeps going. So not all of them are like that. That is from the factory cuts, apparently weren't straight. So we've got a couple, you know, really noticeable ones there. So what they're going to do for that, to get that all fixed up, is they're going to get color matched, or maybe I have to get it, I don't know, but color matched silicone, same thing they use on like Can XL and stuff like that, and then they'll squirt a bunch in there just to make that look a little nicer. Tegan's dad was here and he started cutting out the wiring stuff that he could. So he actually managed to recess everything nicely. We were worried that we'd have to put our electrical on the outside and it would look, you know, big bulky boxes and whatnot. So this is for exterior lights. So he's using a super slim, I don't know what you would call it, a box, I guess. So essentially the light would just mount right to that. So you have very, very minimal, you know, hardware, so to speak, sticking out, making it look all gross. But you can see he did a really nice job getting them cut right in, because you got to remember that's through the tin and then through an inch of foam and then into the house. So I'll show you on the inside what that looks like. That window, we're still waiting for a replacement because it came cracked, then it really broke. Then All Weather sent us a new window, and that window came broken also. So now we're waiting for the third window to come. We got our door handles put on. They're kind of a nice, like a brushed something or other. I don't know. Look cool. But yeah, you can see. So like this is what it looks like from the inside where Wayne put these. So it's really nice. It just fit in beautifully. But yeah, inside, they tore down their temporary stuff here. Should be at the point soon to get those windows in. That's those guys. Getting there. It's definitely taking us a lot longer than we thought this was going to take for this particular stage, the framing and windows and doors, siding outside and sealed. But there's been many factors that have pushed us behind. All of our other contractors for trades and whatnot, they're wanting to get in to do their stuff, but a lot of their stuff has to go through the tin, kind of like how Wayne had to put the power through the tin. Now with the tin being in, I'll just show you guys. So with the tin on now, right, because you have this rib, so you don't want to end up here, right, and then you have to cut it out and put trim and it just looks like absolute garbage. If you can go in the middle here where it's flat, then it'll work out really nice. Then you can just put your cover on it, a little bit of silicone, seal it up. Really nice, clean install. That is how we need to do all the plumbing, all the HVAC, all the venting, the solar stuff where the wire goes through, the propane stuff where that's going to go through, kind of everything. Everything that goes outside to inside or inside to outside. Everyone's kind of at a standstill, which is unfortunate, but they will be finished soon.